What is going on, bull runners? Welcome back to the channel. So we have some massive crypto news to bring to you today that changes everything for XRP holders that you need to know. So right now we're actually checking out some cars. I'm picking up the Bronco right now. And if you guys are feeling bullish, comment 777. If you're feeling blessed, comment 777. Listen to the sound of that thing, man. It's crazy. If you're gonna become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it below. Let's run it. So the Bank of International Settlements, which is basically the big dog bank of all banks around the globe, serving as the central bank for other central banks, it was established back in 1930 and it is headquartered in Switzerland. Well, they recently announced what's called Project Icebreaker, which entails the blueprint for retail CBDCs that will be used around the globe by everyone. Now, in order for you to understand how big this really is for crypto, you need to know how the entire banking system and the banking pyramid works. Well, the Bank of International Settlements is owned by its member central banks, which currently includes 63 central banks from around the world, representing countries that account for about 95% of global GDP. Some of the largest include Bank of Japan, European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve of the United States, People's Bank of China, Reserve Bank of Australia, Reserve Bank of India, the oldest central bank in the world over in Sweden, Swiss National Bank, Bank of England, Bank of Korea, and tons of others. Now, the Fed, which is the central bank of the United States, is part of this central banking conglomerate and will be implementing their FedNow program in July with an announcement about the CBDC program with critical details from this shortly after this summer. And now a collaboration between the Bank of International Settlements and other central banks around the world have been testing the technical feasibility of conducting cross-border and cross-currency transactions between different experimental retail CBDC systems. And retail CBDCs are for people like you and I. And this will dictate how the commercial banks like the Bank of China, HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and then other smaller commercial banks around the world will operate with their CBDC framework. And this will also trickle into the regional banks next, as detailed in the report in Project Icebreaker, is setting out to explore a specific way to interlink domestic systems, which is a so-called hub and spoke solution is what they're calling it. And according to the official Bank of International Settlements website, a cross-border transaction is broken down into two domestic payments facilitated by foreign exchange providers active in both domestic systems, and therefore retail CBDCs never need to leave their own systems. Now, in most cross-border payment systems that you're familiar with, the payer has no choice regarding the exchange rate, and this has been a big issue as it has no control in who the provider of the foreign exchange conversion is. And in the model developed by the Icebreaker project, many foreign exchange providers can submit quotes to the system's hub, which automatically selects the cheaper one for the end user, making it more efficient for global transaction. This competitive setup mitigates the risk of insufficient liquidity in the desired currency pair, which can drive fees up and even delay the transaction. So the Icebreaker system implements the use of bridge currencies if transactions between two specific end currencies are unavailable or not favorable, and promoting competition amongst foreign exchange providers. Now, simply put, Icebreaker is to link CBDC systems together, since each country is working on their own CBDC, similar to how each country has their own fiat currency, except CBDCs are far different than cash, and they're designed to cut out commercial and regional banks so everything can be tracked and under full control of the central banks, aka, the Federal Reserve in the United States being one of those central banks. So every transaction could be tracked and throttled based on what they want you to spend your money on, based on what they will allow you to spend your money on with your digital ID through their FedNow system. Now, that's my theory. That's what a lot of people are saying. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, that they want full control over your money. And listen, if you don't believe that, and if you want to think that they want what's best for you, that's completely fine. What I want you to do, though, is I want you to listen to the head of the Bank of International Settlements on what a CBDC is and how it's extremely different than cash.
All our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Now, if you heard that correctly, he said the central bank will have absolute control through a CBDC and the technology to enforce that control, because they can't trace transactions through cash. So they have to use something like distributed ledger technology, because everything can be tracked and traced on the blockchain. You know, if you get cash out of your bank and then you go buy stuff with it, there's no way of tracking that unless they write things down on a physical ledger. Now that we have digital ledgers, that's what they need in order to make sure they can control the population more. So the project also demonstrated that the hub and spoke model can reduce settlement and counterparty risk by using coordinated payments in central banking money and complete cross-border transactions within seconds. And for countries considering the development of a domestic CBDC, which the vast majority of them are working on right now, and major announcements are going to be coming out over the next few months, that's why you need to prepare now. The project provides a model for extending them to innovative services into cross-border transactions, because systems like the FedNow and the US CBDC would only be able to work inside the United States. So this icebreaker plan is to connect all CBDCs globally, which is what the Bank of International Settlements is designed to do, because it's the bank to all central banks. And for central banks contemplating the implementation of retail CBDCs for everyday customers, this is a big deal for Ripple and XRP, because some of these banks, such as Bank of America, HSBC, JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo, have previously expressed interest in Ripple's technology in the past, and they've even conducted trials with Ripple's products. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Project Iceberg will be using Ripple's distributed ledger technology, or XRP, to connect all CBDCs, because they aren't telling everyone straightforward what they're doing. You know, that information, it's reserved for the elite at the top, because I don't know, maybe they're signing NDAs or other forms of non-disclosures that doesn't allow them to talk about this before they flip the switch, because they don't want everyone to become wealthy. They want the elite. This inner circle information is privied for the elite, but XRP holders are preparing for that announcement, along with the resolution of this lawsuit between the SEC and Ripple. So I find it strange. I find it very, very interesting. If you find it interesting as well too, give this video a like. That all this stuff is lining up. And I'm not here to spread conspiracy theories. I want to spread facts on this video and come to the truth of what will happen with XRP or what won't happen with XRP, because I just find it weird that this is the most intense lawsuit in the crypto space by far, let alone the entire financial system, that is going to dictate what a security, what a commodity is in the entire crypto space for the rest of the lifetime of this industry. And at the same time, it's supposed to be wrapping up this year. At the same time, announcements like Project Iceberg, Unicoin Network, FedNow, the BRICS nations, all announcing their transition to digital currencies and using distributed ledger technology to bridge everything, being exactly what Ripple as a company created XRP to be designed for. So I just find it strange. I find it super odd, and it doesn't necessarily mean that XRP will be that currency for that, because all of these countries and all of these companies could be trying to keep creating competing projects, but they've been consulting Ripple, and Ripple has been helping massive banks and massive countries work on their CBDC program. So it's our job as a community to put the puzzle pieces together without jumping to conclusions saying that it must be using XRP when we need to do more digging. So doing so will allow us all to come to more educated decisions. So don't go out there and just buy XRP and YOLO your life savings into it just because you hear words like distributed ledger technology or cross-border transactions, or you see the Riddlers on Twitter trying to put the puzzle pieces together saying that it must be XRP because the Simpsons predicted a $589 XRP, when nowhere in the Simpsons are they actually saying that. The Simpsons is just talking about distributed ledger technology, because we never know, you know, but it's obvious that a major change is taking place right now, and you need to have a solid diversification plan, in my opinion. If you don't have a diversification plan, then that allows you to get wrecked from one project specifically, because in order to grow your wealth, you know, not putting your eggs in one basket seems like common sense, but sometimes common sense isn't so common. In the last bull run, you know, when I held too much of my income in the crypto market, I got absolutely wrecked. I saw my portfolio go up very fast, and I saw it come down very fast. And because I had certain hiccups in my business that I didn't account for, and I had to
allocate capital to be able to scale my companies in the past. I wasn't able to do that because I had too much money in crypto. So you don't bet the family farm on XRP, let alone don't bet the family farm on any single project specifically, even gold or even silver or even real estate. Having contingency plans and having a diversified portfolio will protect yourself long term.
What do you need to do? Because if the Fed isn't going to live within their means, if they're not going to default, if they're going to tax the rich more, if you want to become rich and you commented 777 because you're become the first millionaire and they plan on taxing you more, what do you do to legally minimize your taxes, make more money, and prepare yourself when the dollar collapses so you can have more XRP, so you can have more Bitcoin, have more Ethereum, have more Shiba Inu, have more Solana, more Cardano, whatever you want, and have more productive assets? Well, number one, you need to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video all over social media so we can help more people understand what's going on so they can prepare. Because here's what I'm personally doing to prepare. And again, take this or leave it. This is not financial advice. Consult your financial advisor if they are a multimillionaire. This is what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do that helped me become a millionaire before 30. Number one, you got to think of money like manure, right? If you pile it up in one place, it stinks and it rots. But if you spread it around, everything grows. I'm investing into assets that will either produce passive income or hold value in times of inflation or hyperinflation. And that's where crypto, that's where gold, that's where silver, that's where international real estate comes into play as other countries expand and more people want to move overseas, let alone hire employees overseas. But in order for you to do that, you can't just rely on the income from your job to invest, because the rise of artificial intelligence is replacing workers in industries like healthcare, finance, manufacturing, transportation, retail, education. The list goes on and on and on. You are increasing your risk every single day of being laid off. The days that go by where you don't focus on building a business on the side. So that's what I'm also doing. I'm building a side business. Now, the number one side hustle for you to focus on in 2023, in my opinion, that costs little to no money out of pocket, that's completely recession proof, it's completely depression proof, is an information-based business in any niche that you want, because people are more hungry for information than ever before. Remember, information changes situations. When you have different information, it changes the outcome and the output of your life. You know, education is the biggest problem in the world today. The complete overhaul of the education system and the student loan bubble that's about to burst is next. However, you know, most people that are going through formal education, they need to know that formal education will make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. And unfortunately, a formal education is not making people a living because they're having to focus on surviving rather than thriving due to minimum wage staying the same over the past few years and artificial intelligence taking jobs. And as always, you know what we're doing. We're backing up our truck all the way to the bank. We're grabbing the bags, packing them and stacking them, leaving no bags left behind, because we believe the spending power of the dollar is going down in value. That's the truth based on inflation and what the Federal Reserve is doing. Fed now is not going to fix that. The CBDC system that they're planning on ushering in is not going to fix that. So in order to fix that, you have to take it into your own hands, because together we're all going camping on the beaches of the moon, and Bull Runners Club is going up. So I will see you on the next video. I will see you on bullrunners.com. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.